Hello everyone, it's Vicki from www.paperinkle.com, back with you today to show you how to make some of these gift boxes. These are made using the Simply Scored and the Diagonal Score Pad. You can make them, as you can see, in a variety of boxes, and the ones I'm going to show you today are these smaller square boxes, which are made from a 5x5 piece of cardstock, and it's the perfect size to contain one square of chocolate. Now what I've done to the square of chocolate is simply taped the edges down just so that it fits a little bit more firmly, but as you can see it fits into these boxes quite nicely. You can also see the wide variety of styles that you can do. So I have a back to school one, a birthday one, a Halloween, baby and wedding shower. And then you could also make them larger, a size enough to put note cards in. And on my website at www.paperinkle.com you'll find instructions for the different sizes. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start, first what you're going to do is take the diagonal score plate, and on the back you'll see an arrow and some spots for grooves. What you're going to do is slide the plate in the direction of the arrow into the grooves so that it snaps in place. That way the grooves will lock in and it won't slide around on you while you're trying to work. So now that I have my diagonal plate in, I'm going to take a 5x5 piece of Pool Party cardstock and I'm going to score it on the diagonal at 1.5 and 2.5. I've marked both spots with a toothpick just so that you can see where it is. And I'm using the small end of my scoring tool. I'm simply going to slip it in and score down at 1.5, 2.5, and turn. 1.5, 2.5, and turn. 1.5, 2.5, and turn. 1.5 and 2.5. And I have my scored card ready to go. So I folded them, just scored them a little bit along the line so that I can easily see. On each one of the sides there's 2 triangles, and what I'm going to do is simply snip out each one of the triangles all the way around the piece of paper. And you can see from the score lines exactly where those triangles are. And once I'm finished, I have a piece of paper that looks like this. Now here's one just to show you what the score lines look like, since sometimes that's hard to show up on video. Instead of doing the score lines with the scorer, I did a pen on this one just so that you could see that. The next thing I'm going to do is cut these flaps. So I've cut the triangles out from each side, and now I'm going to go to each side and I'm just going to snip to the score line closest to the flap edge, those flaps, turn it around, and do the same thing on this side. And there we have our box ready to assemble. Going to fold up the sides and use just a little bit of sticky strip on each one of the edges. So this is what it looks like when you have the sticky strip on each one of those edges. You're simply going to peel off the sticky strip, the top layer, and then you're just going to assemble your box. You're going to fold it up, line it up and over, fold it up, line it up and over, do these 2 sides, and you have your box. Now inside of it I put, as I mentioned, one of those chocolate squares, and what I did was I just took a piece of designer paper and simply cut it to fit my square and wrapped it around. On this one I'm doing the back to school theme, so I used the Designer Series paper Storytime, which had rulers on it. I'm going to go ahead and just slip that inside my box, and then I'm going to fold my box up, adhere with a piece of sticky strip. And I'm good to go. Now as you start playing with this, you'll see there's a number of different ways that you can fold the box. so that you can have it that it opens at the top, or it opens through the side like this, or you can create it all different ways. You can experiment when you make them as to which way you want to fold it. So there I have my box. Now what I'm going to do is decorate it very quickly. So what I'm going to do is still use more of this Storytime paper. Now here's a strip of the Storytime paper, and I'm just going to pick one of these characters that I think would look cute on there. I think what I'll do is look at these children in the wagon. I'm going to line them up within my hole punch, and you see that I flipped my punch. It's a 1 3/8 inch punch. You see I flipped it over so that I can see where I line up the picture, and I'm simply going to punch that out. And then I'm going to use the circle, scallop circle, and a piece of cherry cobbler, which matches the design. Punch that out. I'm going to adhere the two together with a little bit of snail adhesive and add that onto my box. Now I could use a piece of grosgrain ribbon around the edges to decorate that. So that is how you make the box. Now I showed you in the beginning a couple of different boxes that I made, a wedding one, and this one I used a brad on the back, and I also ran it through an embossing folder before I did it, just to give it a little more of a wedding type of a look. You could do that also for a vintage look. You could also, instead of doing something kind of cute in the center, which I did thinking more of a wedding shower, you could do something a little more elegant if you wanted to. This one I did as a baby shower. It's just a So Saffron box with the stamped image. And these images all come from the Happy You Hostess set. It gives you a variety of occasions that you can use, and it happens to be just the perfect size for these boxes. And on the Peekaboo Baby, I also adhered that with just a little bit of glue gun and a button, just to give it a little bit of a different look. Another one that I showed you that is a little bit different is the one that I made out of Designer Series paper with the from the You're Amazing stamp set, the elephant on the top. And you can see this looks a little bit different. I mentioned a second ago that you can fold them differently, and I just want to show you another trick just for a different look. So here I have my box already folded up, just like I just showed you. And when we made the traditional box, we just folded it down that way, adhered it. Sometimes we put a brad here, we decorated the other side. What I'm going to do with this box is I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to put a little bit of sticky strip on the top of each edge, and I'm simply going to, instead of folding it in, I'm going to fold each of these down so that you can see the other side of my Designer Series paper. That's one of the things I love about Stampin' Up's Designer Series paper, is that you get two coordinating sides. And then what I'm going to do is fold in my sides. You can see I already put a little piece of sticky strip in here. I'm going to pull that off, fold in each of the sides, and you can see that you get a totally different look for that box. And again, you could insert the candy in there, you could put a decoration on top, whatever works for you. So thank you for joining me today. It's Vicki from www.paperinkle.com, where I love to surprise and delight my customers. I hope you'll be next.